The Ravens are one of the best teams in the NFL. They just locked up their coach with a new contract. Lamar Jackson is an excellent quarterback. Their record over the last few years has been 13 wins, 11 wins, 12 wins. Why are they not this successful? Because they haven't won a Super Bowl? That is, one team wins a Super Bowl a year. This is not a dynasty that we're talking about where if they don't win the Super Bowl, it's not a successful year.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast preview of the AFC North. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and on this episode, in segment one, we will give our fans a team overview of all of the teams in the AFC North. Segment two, we'll talk about stories to watch for each team. And in segment three, we will talk about things strictly for entertainment purposes only, as the Odd Coaches Podcast enters its fourth year of covering the National Football League. Let us remind you that our previews are for the general fan as we introduce you to the teams and talk about things strictly for entertainment purposes only. With us today, Captain for Life and our Parlay King, Will Cotton. Will, what's going on, man? And prop bets too. What's going on?
Everything's going well. Ready for football. I haven't been to any betting. Baseball's boring. No Olympics, no FIBA, no nothing. So just kind of holding my coin, ready for fall.
All right. And researcher extraordinaire in terms of the NFL and teacher of the month every month, Mike Connors is joining us. Mike, are we ready to go, sir?
I am ready to rock and roll. Let's talk about three teams in the AFC North.
Mike, there are four teams. All right, we're going to start with the
Cleveland
Ravens.
still doesn't count.
Stop it. All right, so the Baltimore Ravens, the over-under is 11.5. Baltimore has disappointed. They finished last year 12-5. They should be better, and they should have been in the Super Bowl, but they keep choking it up. So, Will, talk to me. Give me your thoughts on the Baltimore Ravens, because I don't know what else this team needs to do other than hand the ball to Derrick Henry, but he's another year old there after a year of getting battered.
Oh, I mean, if you be talking about it, they were one catch away from being in the Super Bowl, which sucks for them. But they were able to bring in some great talent in quarter and in corner. I think they got Jair Alexander as cornerback from Packers from Green Bay. They brought him in. I think that's a team that's ready to win. I think that Teddy, they have a tough schedule. I think they play. I think they have something crazy where it's like Kansas City, they got the Bills, they got the Lions, they got the Texans, but I think that team is better than, two or three of those teams. There's a lot of bums that they're playing. They're playing the Browns twice, they're playing the Jets, they're playing the Steelers, who I think are a walkover. I think the Patriots, so they're gonna gotta walk over easies, and they're gonna got at the end of the season, it's a cakewalk between the Jets, the Bengals, Patriots, Packers, Steelers. Like, I don't think these are teams that are going to be even in the playoffs, or if they are, fighting for it. So this is the team that you have to make the step, or else you got to kind of break it up. It's too expensive. Lamar's contract's coming up, which is crazy enough. I must be getting older because he was just in for a contract dispute last I remember. So you got to win now. So if it doesn't happen this year, get ready for a lot of changes in Baltimore if no Super Bowl occurs this season.
All right, Connors, what do you think, man? Give me your thoughts on the Ravens.
The Ravens are one of the best teams in the NFL. They just locked up their coach with a new contract. Lamar Jackson is an excellent quarterback. Their record over the last few years has been 13 wins, 11 wins, 12 wins. Why are they not this successful? Because they haven't won a Super Bowl? That is, one team wins a Super Bowl a year. This is not a dynasty that we're talking about where if they don't win the Super Bowl, it's not a successful year. They are an immensely successful team. Other teams are modeling themselves off of this organization, and we'll talk about the Steelers doing that in a few minutes. But Lamar Jackson has come out and said that if this is a Super Bowl or bust season for them. Now, Lamar saying that has me thinking that he's in the right mindset. But if you look at his record, he's only won one playoff game per year. He's great against bad teams, but when he gets against the better teams, he's not always the best quarterback. Okay. I don't know if that's the fact that he chokes under pressure, if it's a system thing, if it's just they're good, but they're not that good. I don't know what it is. They made a couple of good pickups in the offseason. They got Cooper Rush to be his backup after being a lifelong Cowboy. Derrick Henry's 31 years old, but last year he had the second best season he's had rushing with 1,921 yards. He averaged 5.9 per carry, so it doesn't seem like he's slowing down at all. He had 16 touchdowns, only 3 fumbles. Now, you don't want to see any fumbles, but, that's not a bad ratio of touchdown to fumbles. Their draft was scored very high. Their first pick was pass rusher Mike Green out of Marshall. A little bit of a controversial pick. He had some baggage and some law allegations against him. So he's a little bit of a pick. But overall, their class was deemed to address the needs that they have. They are an excellent team. And as we've said many times, they are someone we look to see go deep into the playoffs and go to the Super Bowl. So we'll see what happens.
All right. Cincinnati, over under 9.5. They went 9-8 last year with Joe Burrow throwing on his back. Their defense is nothing because they haven't signed anybody. Will, what are you thinking about Cleveland? I'm sorry, Cincinnati.
It's crazy enough, but that team will be battling with the Steelers for the AFC North wild card. I think that the team of that gets the better record is going to make the wild card off that. It's ironically because both team is really leaning on the opposite side of the ball. Bengals are really double down with the offense. Steelers, even though with Rodgers, I think their strength, even with Metcalf, I think their strength is still defense. I think that's where they will get they get their money. And it'll just be up to Burrow's healthy. If he's good, if he plays well, if he does what he has to does. I think, obviously the receivers are going to do what they have to do. There's no issues on that side. I think those guys are Higgins can get injured here and there, but I think they're still good. Interesting what's going on with the running back if they can get the same consistency with that, which is we'll see. I mean, that guy's always playing with money. But at the end of the day, I think the Bengals. I don't know if they'll get their 9.5 wins. I don't think they'll get 10. I think they'll get 9 wins, and I think they'll be right there battling with the Steelers, trying to win and lose and hoping this and that to get in the playoffs. I think that's where that team has been, which is sadly because that team was in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, and we expected them to make those steps. But with more management with the front office with Burrow's injury. They're just not where they need to be. And they've actually making a backtrack every single year. They've gotten worse since making the Super Bowl. So we'll see if they can make the playoff. But I think they don't. I don't think they get the 10 wins to get them to the playoffs. And I think they're fighting with the Steelers.
All right. Connors, Joe Burrow, they keep telling me he's good. But it's a Dominique 20 to me. And for those who don't know, Dominique Wilkins, one of the greatest basketball players ever. But he shot 20 times every night. So you're going to get 5, 6, 7 baskets go in, and you're going to average 20 points. So Joe Burrow was down a lot, and you throw the ball a lot, so your numbers are gaudy, but you ain't winning nothing. So talk to me about your thoughts on Cincinnati, because I'm not sold with that Dominique 20 he's getting every year.
The Bengals have taken a lot of steps since they were in the Super Bowl. The problem is those steps are backwards. Okay. They signed great receivers. Okay. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Burrows has a couple years left on his contract. He can't throw off his back. Okay. There's no offensive line there. They don't have a well-rounded offense. They have a quarterback and they have some receivers, but that's all they have. He's going to be running for his life all season. When it comes to the defense, I mean, Trey Hendrickson, their best player, is in a contract dispute. There's no updates on what's going on there. If he's going to report to camp, he's convinced to stay away, and he's not playing for the $16 million that he has on his contract this year. Shocker, their draft was not good. They got scored C's and D's by most media accounts. So again, Cincinnati had their year a few years ago. I would be amazed if they got even close to the 9.5 wins. I'm thinking they're a 6, maybe 7 win team because Burrows is going to be running for his life. It's great that you have receivers, but if you don't give them time to get downfield and get separation, what good is that? So the Bengals have a lot of work to do. I'm really, the more I look at this, the more I think that Zach Taylor, their coach, is going to be on the hot seat this year. because they really haven't made any steps forward. So we'll see what happens there. But it doesn't look like it's going to be a very promising year. I think that number 9.5 is extremely ambitious for the
Okay.
Bengals.
All right. Speaking of ambitions, Cleveland Browns over under is 5.5. And Will, the math is this: the Browns do not have a quarterback, and they have the second toughest strength of schedule in the league. What are you thinking about Cleveland this year, sir?
I still think Cleveland is going to struggle. I think that's going to, I mean, right now they have 4.5 wins. Projection is I think they'll hit that, but it'll be barely, if that, maybe 5 wins or 4 wins here and there. They're a team that wants to believe that they're making a move, but they're not. They should have doubled down. They paid Miles Garrett a ton of, a king's ransom for his money. That's not a team that's trying to rebuild. That's a team trying to middle and try to make advantage of whatever they got going on. They have a mess in the quarterback. They don't have any sort of wide receiver that's going on. They just cut Nick Chubb. They drafted Shador Sanders, who they're not even sure. And they drafted like two quarterbacks, and they have five quarterbacks that could be on the roster. I don't see this being as a great season for the Browns. There's nothing for me to believe that this team is going to win more than 5 wins. I think this team is playing for the top 10. I think that's what they're playing for. I now whether Shador is not, I think that's a great steal for them. I think that he's a great talent for them. That's a great piece that they can move forward with, especially financially. But with the moves that the Browns have made, and if you've watched football over the last 40, 30 years, this is not conducive of winning. And this is not conducive of making a team that's going to make it to the Super Bowl. I've never seen this happen, and the team's like, hey, we ended up in the Super Bowl. It ain't never happened in my mind. So we'll see what happens. I expect them to win 4 to 5 wins. They're not very good. So we'll see what happens.
All right, Connors. Yes, by contract, we have to talk about Cleveland. So, what are you thinking about the Browns, sir?
The mistake on the lake. That's what I think about the Cleveland Browns. They have 4 quarterbacks on their official roster and 5 in the quarterback room because you can't have 5 on the official roster. So Shador, as of now, is not even listed on their official roster. So they are a debacle. I mean, the biggest thing they have going for them is that Ohio Governor Mike DeWine set aside $600 million for them to build their new stadium in Brooks Park, south of Cleveland. They got a $2.4 billion dome stadium that they're going to be putting in. So I'll give Cleveland this. They're smart enough to put a domed stadium in a cold weather situation, unlike the idiots in the Meadowlands, New Jersey, who wouldn't do that. So I mean, the quarterback situation there is a nightmare. Deshaun Watson, we've talked about his trials and tribulations off the field. Joe Flacco is older than I am. Kenny Pickett can't hold a ball. His hands are too small. Dylan Gabriel, the quarterback that they drafted first this year in the 3rd round out of Oregon, I don't know a lot about him, to tell you the truth. Shador Sanders, I mean, he's made headlines for driving 100 miles an hour over the speed limit this year. When it came to their draft, I mean, they had a good draft. Mason Graham, the D tackle out of Michigan, was an excellent pick. He's scheduled to be a great player. With the 5th overall pick, they took, quarterbacks, linebackers. They got an A or A plus grade from Mel Kiper Jr. on their draft. So maybe they're moving in the right direction, but let's be honest. They have the 2nd toughest schedule in the NFL. They have a debacle at the quarterback situation. They don't have a history of overcoming turmoil or adversity in Cleveland. So I'm saying 2, maybe 3 wins.
Ouch. All right, and finally, my heart is just breaking as I've had this conversation. The Pittsburgh Steelers. The over-under is 8.5. It is no secret how much I love the BCA, the Black Coaches Association, and Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season. However, the Steelers, they have Aaron Rodgers now. They have a couple of trades on the defensive end. I will make my annual bet strictly for entertainment purposes only under duress. Will, is this the year the streak ends? What are you thinking about the Steelers, sir?
Man, I wish it wouldn't. I wish it wouldn't. But unfortunately, if you think about it, the only way they're going to move forward is definitely Tomlin has a terrible season. They're unable to draft. They're unable to bring in draft free agents. even with they have Aaron Rodgers, who I thought they should have brought him in 2 years ago, even before with the Jets. I should have thought they had brought him in. That'd have been a great fit, but they didn't. Unfortunately, I would hate to see a brother lose his job, but with the way his operates, with the way his procedures, this team with the roster they have, the best they're going to be is 8, 9, and if we're talking about overachieving 10, 11 wins, and that's not going to put you in a position that's going to put you sustain wins. You know what I'm saying? So it's just difficult. I would love for him in the best idea. I would love to win the wild card or win the division with a 12 win. Hopefully they can find hopefully Rodgers is a stopgap for them for the next 2 years. I know they're looking for a quarterback at least in the free agency or in the draft, but it's hard for me to believe that that's going to have the culmination of perfect things are going to happen. It's not going to happen. Mike Tomlin's going to win. Aaron Rodgers doing well. They get a quarterback they need to get. It's not going to happen. So something has to happen. Unfortunately, I think the best way that Pittsburgh could do is if everything goes to crap, move Mike Tomlin away somewhere that's part of the organization. Don't get rid of him. Don't cast away. Don't let him coach another team that's going to bite you in the ass. But keep him there. Draft a young quarterback, and then and bring in a young coach. Draft him and start again. You have the formula. You've seen with Big Ben. You've seen that before. You've seen it works. Why not follow that same path? So I'm hoping that Mike Tomlin gets the wins to stay away as a personal fan. But if you're a Steeler fan, you want to move forward, you're gonna have to sacrifice some wins and sacrifice some playoff wins or playoffs appearances, I should say, if you want change.
All right, Connors. This is tough for me, man. What do you think? How the Steelers going to do this year?
I love Mike Tomlin. I think he's one of the best coaches in NFL history, but I just don't see how the streak continues this year. That's a lot of wins. Aaron Rodgers is another year older. That Achilles is another year after repair. He held out to get his name in the papers and the headlines. We know he loves the limelight. Smartest guy in the room. Just ask him; he'll tell you. NFL insider Alan Saunders says that the Steelers are trying to emulate the Ravens in everything they do. They're following them step for step in moves. They lost to the Ravens in the playoffs. They gave up 299 yards rushing. So what did they do? They went out and they got the Baltimore linebacker Malik Harrison off of free agency. What did the Ravens do? They added a cornerback. Who did they add? Jair Alexander. So what did Pittsburgh do? They went out and they traded for all-pro quarterback Jalen Ramsey. So they're trying to follow the blueprint of the Ravens to beat them in their division. I don't know if that's going to work. The Steelers are one of the most fabled organizations in pro sports, and I can't see them giving up their identity to mimic another team in their division. I just don't see them getting that many wins. I have no faith in Aaron Rodgers. I don't think Tomlin really wanted him, but there was no one else out there. So we'll see what happens. I don't know that we've talked about all offseason about what an anomaly the Steelers are behavior wise this year. I just don't know what to think. I mean, I hate to see the streak end, but I just don't see it getting to 10 wins again.
All right. So fans, when we get back in segment 2, we'll have a question for each team and our panel will help us navigate this. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Keith Adams, and for years, I've witnessed the struggles student athletes face on how to truly balance the demands of academics and athletics. It's a question that I have dedicated my life to answering. That's why I wrote Finding the Balance, my personal journey to academic and athletic success. It's more than just a book. It is my personal journey, and it is filled with hard-earned lessons from decades as a coach, educator, and now president of the CKA SAFE Project. Inside, you will find practical advice, real-life stories, and a clear roadmap to help student athletes, coaches, and parents navigate the complex world of balance in sports and education. And now I am thrilled to bring this message to a wider audience as a proud member of the Cascade Sports Network. We're partnering to amplify these crucial conversations about student athlete success. I believe every student athlete deserves the opportunity to reach their full potential, both on and off the court and the field. You can purchase your copy directly from our website at www.ckasafeproject.org. Join me and the Cascade Sports Network as we work together to help every student athlete succeed. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast in segment 2, Stories to Follow for Baltimore. Starting with Will, what else do you need? All right, you changed your kicker out. You signed your coach. You did all of these things, okay? What else do you need to do to win a Super Bowl, Baltimore? Tell me, Will, what else do they need to do?
You got to win a Super Bowl. That is it. That is it. There's the Super Bowl. I think right now people see Mahomes as he's not the best Kansas City Chief team that we've seen in a long time. I see the Bills are obviously beatable. You know, they're not perfect, or they're not sort of like a juggernaut like that in terms of the previous 90s or 20s with the Patriots, things like that. You know, this is the chance for Lamar to go ahead and win a Super Bowl. He has to win a Super Bowl. And unfortunately, that's how we validate our quarterbacks in this era. You have to win a Super Bowl. Once as soon as the Super Bowl, he is minted. He is good in the NFL, in my opinion. He's good. He doesn't have to worry about nothing. But you have to win a Super Bowl. And it's unfortunate because if you think about it, it's all on Lamar. Even if, your man Mark Andrews drops a pass, that's not really on Lamar. If Derrick Henry fumbles the football, if the defense gives up, 30, 40 points, it'll be on Lamar regardless. So I think the story is at the end of the day, you've been given everything that you need to win, except, and I always think this, a star receiver to really follow them. And I thought they should have went after Devontae Adams, but I digress. You have to win the Super Bowl. That's the only thing that people will basically say. This is the story that ends the well that they want to see. If they don't win the Super Bowl, you're gonna have to tear down the whole thing, get rid of free agencies, and start again. But you have to win the Super Bowl. I think it has to happen this year.
All right, Connors, what else do they need? They have everything that you could ever want, and they still don't close. What else do they need?
After looking at last year's season, the biggest thing I can see on paper is they started 0-2. So I'm thinking they got to start hot and just keep that momentum running all season. Lamar is a psychological player. They need to build him up and make him think that he can walk on water all season. Get the sports psychologist whispering in his ear. Have Harbaugh pour him extra Kool-Aid, have him drinking it all season, that he is invincible, he is the man, and he can do anything besides walk on water. I mean, that's what the only thing I can think, because everything else they had last year was looking great. They beat Pittsburgh in the playoffs, then they lost to Buffalo in a close game. So I think a lot of it's between the ears for Lamar. In college, he kind of had the same reputation of not winning the big game. They played Clemson in the ACC championship game his senior year. Clemson put him behind the woodshed. So I think they need to start hot and stay hot.
All right, so we're going to go to Cincinnati. Mike, I'm going to start with you because of what we talked about last one of our previous episodes. Cincinnati, can you win even if you don't do business the right way? What do I mean by that, fans? Cincinnati ranked very low in how they treated their players and their families. And we've also heard about the contract talks and the non-action. So, Mike, can Cincinnati win even if they don't do business the right way?
No, I don't think they will. I don't think they're a contender to win this division. Maybe a wild card depending on the rest of the league, but I don't see it happening. We said before, Burrow can't throw from his back. Receivers, if they don't have the time to get open, they're not valuable weapons. They have no line. Their defense is shaky. There's not a lot going on there. They're not bringing in big-time free agents because of some of their scores on the evaluations of players. So I think this is another season of they had their time when they went to the Super Bowl. Every year they've taken step back. I think this is another year where they step back.
All right, Will Cotton, can you win even if you got your players waiting for their families in a tent out back?
No, I don't think you can. I mean, at the end of the day, we all have jobs that we have regular jobs that are regular to the NFL. And if you hate the job or the job is doing something terrible, it's hard for you to want to show up those extra hours. I mean, you guys, coach, you speak about, the working for the county, but it makes it hard for you to stay. Oh, well, can you stay 5 to 7 or to 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock? For no extra money. It's like, no, I'm not doing that. I don't believe in the mission. I don't believe in what we're doing. And I think a lot of players, especially have the recent DN who is willing to go back to get redraft because he's not getting the money that he wants or in the details in the contract he's not getting any. This is a big thing for an organization. I mean, again, this is going to be a thing where it's like, yeah, I'll work for you, but I'm not putting in the extra hours. I'm not putting in the extra hours. And we know those are the teams that win. Those are the teams that go to December, January, February. Those are the teams that hoist the trophy, are the ones that love to be there. I mean, they talk about it even when they win. They say, "Oh man, I mean, I love this organization from the people who, from the security guard all the way up." It's true. I mean, you're not going to put your life on a line for an organization that doesn't care about you. And I think at the end of the day, people know that about Cincinnati. I think that's something that's been going on for decades. I think that's why they don't what they have. And they got a fluke, don't get me wrong, I'll call it what it is. They got a fluke Super Bowl appearance that have the people think that, oh, they're a good team. They were never really ever been a good team. I mean, the reason that they were picking Burrow is the reason that they sucked, and the guy took them to the Super Bowl one year, and after that they've been poop. So at the end of the day, if you remove that season, they're a shit team. They're not. I'm sorry. I don't mean. I'm sorry to use the language. They're just not a good team at all. They've never been a good team since the early '90s after they've been Super Bowl against the Niners. And it's just how they do business. Same thing with the Commanders. I mean, you see the difference when the people who are making the money and making the front office's decisions, you see the people have changed. The whole aura and the whole environment changes. And I think right now they have a lot of poison in Cincinnati in terms of money, in terms of imagine if you're playing there and your wife is telling you like, well, I gotta come up with $2,000 to watch our kids. I play for the team. What are you talking about? That's a frustration that comes home that I shouldn't have to talk about, and that's something that the team should take care of. So, at the end of the day, I think I agree with you guys. It's just going to be another issue because they just don't do business the way well.
All right. Will, I'm gonna stay with you. Cleveland. How long before you put one of the rookies in? How long do you wait?
Well, it's touchy. I want them to get. I know that the Cleveland is in the business of getting the best draft pick this year, so I say wait until it becomes abysmal and you're nothing's gonna happen, and then it just determines of who is going to start. Who are you going to start, Gabriel or Sanders? And then at the end of the day, I think you keep both of them anyway. Moving into the offseason, you let them battling in. You see who's going to be the starter, and then you get a great draft pick. You can trade it or you can pick it. I'd take an offensive lineman. Why not? If you're gonna double down on your quarterback, why not? But I say play them. I say let whoever the bums are playing now lose early in the season, and then once you see that you've pretty locked up that top 10, go ahead and let Shador play or Gabriel play. And I think either way they played, even if they both played amazingly, keep both of them and then draft your pick and move and start and reset, start going and start getting rid of purging Deshaun Watson. And that's what you really want to do. The next 2, 3 years need to be shedding contracts, removing Watson, rebuilding your environment, rebuilding your culture, and then you can go ahead and start from there. I think you have great two young quarterbacks to even to not even worry about the next year. You have a quarterback battle going on, so I think if they play it well, Cleveland should have some things in a couple 2 years. But right now, focus on losing.
Okay. Mike, how long before you get the hook to Fleck?
Who cares? I mean, come on. We waste so much time on this team. They're abysmal. They haven't been good since Bernie Kosar was there back in the 80s. Let's just move on.
All right. So, in honor of the Undertaker, Mike Connors, is this the year for Pittsburgh that the streak ends? Tell me, does the streak end?
I think the streak ends. You put all your eggs in the basket of Aaron Rodgers. I have no faith in him. When he came to the Jets, he was the one piece they needed to go to the Super Bowl, and he couldn't deliver. Got hurt, not his fault. But then from there, he didn't do anything to help himself, missing OTAs to go to Egypt. We've talked about that, calling coaches by their first name, not showing the respect in the press there. No, unfortunately, Tomlin's streak comes to an end.
All right, Will, is this Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker? Does the streak end this year?
They need to operate like an organization. I don't care if it's the streaks ends of continue. Get rid of Tomlin. Whether he gets over 9, if he gets 10, if he gets the playoff, at some point, you have to move forward. You have to understand that you can't keep middling and middling and middling. Remove him, or at the end of the day, say, look, this is how we operate. This is how we do business. Keep him. Stop complaining. He's going to be here for the next 4 or 5 years, and then we'll go from there. But I think it's totally unprofessional to believe that this man should be playing year for year for his contract. That's BS. Mike Tomlin has won enough, more than a lot of coaches in the NFL with a Super Bowl. I think that man should not have to play year to year thinking that he's going to keep his job. Tell him that he's going to keep his job. If not, say, hey, this is the last year. We're not going to renew your contract. We're going to move forward. Let him do his thing. Stop this BS of holding off and, oh, is he going to hold on to the streak? Is he going to do it and keep his job? Is Tomlin in the hot seat? No, stop doing it. Be a professional organization. Pittsburgh is a great organization. Do it the right way. If you're going to move on Tomlin, tell him, hey, we're moving on. If we're not, double down in the press. Say, hey, this guy for the next 4 or 5 years, he's our guy, and that's it. But stop playing the game and back and forth with how many wins he is and how many times he's going to keep his year. Come on, be professional.
All right. So fans of segment 3, we're going to make predictions strictly for entertainment purposes only on the AFC North. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast. Hi, everyone. Dr. Keith Adams here. And for over 30 years, I've dedicated my life to helping student athletes succeed, not just on the fields and the courts, but in the classroom and beyond. And that's why I founded the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project understands that finding the balance between academics and athletics is crucial for long-term success. That's why the CKA Save Project offers a range of programs, including personalized consulting, mentorship, and coming in 2027, our innovative Gap Year Basketball Academy designed to assist both young men and women reach their full potential both on and off the court. I'm incredibly excited to announce that the CKA Save Project is now partnering with the Cascade Sports Network. This partnership will allow us the opportunity to amplify our message and reach even more student athletes through the Odd Coaches Podcast and other exciting initiatives. Join the CKA Save Project and the Cascade Sports Network as we empower the next generation of student athletes. Visit CKA on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org to learn more. Let's work together to find the balance and help unlock your potential. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast in segment 3. We're going to talk about things strictly for entertainment purposes only. All right, Connors, who is the predicted division champion? Who's winning the division, sir?
Baltimore, running away with it.
All right, Will Cotton, who's winning the division?
Ravens, easy money.
Okay, who's your sleeper pick, Will?
Oh, man, I'd like to say that it's going to be the Bengals are the sleeper, Bengals. I'll take the Bengals as be sleeper pick.
All right, Connors, who's the sleeper pick?
There is none. The other 3 teams stink, but I'll go Pittsburgh just because I got to pick somebody.
All right, Connors, who will be in the playoffs from the AFC North?
Oh, Baltimore for sure. I don't think anybody else.
Okay, Will Cotton, anybody who's going to be in the playoffs for the AFC North?
Baltimore and the Bengals sneak in.
Baltimore and the Bengals sneak in. And again, we don't have the rights to it, but Will, do we have a big game participant coming from the AFC North?
Baltimore and Super Bowl, I believe.
Okay. And Connors, do we have a big game participant coming from the AFC North?
No,
Come on,
I don't
man.
think so. I don't think Baltimore's going to make. I think they're going to go to the championship game, but I think they're going to lose in the championship game.
All right. Any final thoughts, Connors? AFC North, final thoughts, sir?
I don't want to talk about the Cleveland Browns until the draft next year when they take their 1 win or 2 wins and trade away the first pick in the draft for a plethora of draft collateral.
All right. Will Cotton, final words on the AFC North.
Outside the Ravens, a regular division. They get overhyped as being really good, but outside the Ravens, I see 3 bums.
All right. So, fans, on behalf of our cavalcade of stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast, also seen on the Cascade Sports Network. And we will see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.